beautiful friends. It's Amanda here, and it's time for my May ranking. I have so many products that I tried this month, and despite the fact that we have a whole lot of ranking to do, I don't think we have any exceptionally bad products this month. Maybe as I go through here, I'll be reminded of something that really didn't work for me. But as I was just going through the cursory glance of everything that I need to rank for May, I feel like everything was pretty decent. I'm going to show you every single new product that I tried in the month of May, and I am going to rank them into one of these four categories that I completely made up and might change someday. The best of the best are going to go in this top tier. These are things that I love, I adore, I'm obsessed, I'm impressed. Obviously, these are my favorite things for the month. Next step down is still pretty good, not obsession territory, but even though I may not be in love with you, I am in like with you. Just below I am in like with you, but above the least best is just meh. And then the products that really didn't work for me that I found to be bottom of the barrel, those are the least best. First products that I want to talk about for this month are two that I technically reviewed last month, but these came so late in the month of April that I felt it was more fair to rank them in May since the majority of my use has been in this month. These are the Amy Loves Makeup palettes she did in collaboration with Adept Cosmetics. I will admit that I love the eyeshadow palette more than the blush palette, and that's simply just a matter of preference. These cool tones with some blue and purple and silver and taupey colors and grays, these just really work for me and my personal style. I'm not a big pink makeup wearer at all, whether it's eyeshadow, lips, cheeks, even clothing. I just don't really gravitate towards pink. I don't know if it's just a preference, if it's not my most flattering, or maybe kind of a combo of both. The formulas on this blush palette are beautiful. I really, really like the highlighters, especially, but I'm going to put the blush palette in the I am in like with you tier. However, the eyeshadow palette is an automatic top of the pile, probably one of my favorite eyeshadow palettes that I've tried all year. And at this point, believe it or not, we are approaching the halfway point of this year. Let that sink in. Or don't. Maybe it's time to be delusional. I've been there. I get it. Next, we have the Precious Metals collection from ColourPop. This collection has some Jelly Much shadows and a mega palette. Typically for the ColourPop collections, I split all of the products up to be individually ranked, but these are all kind of on the same level for me. So I'm just going to keep them all together for the sake of brevity and clarity. These are kind of hovering somewhere in this region right here. Sometimes I take liberties with my ranking system, and this is just going to be one of those times. I wouldn't quite put these things on the same level quality-wise with this blush palette, and they're also just not that exciting when it comes to the colors. It's very neutral. That just doesn't really rev my engine. Maybe it does for you, and that is perfectly valid. But for me, this is just right in the very, very middle. Better than some things that have been in the just meh category, but not quite on par with being in like with you. Now, categories are always subject to change, rankings are always subject to change. Maybe I will pull this palette out again and find a new conviction, but for now, we're going right smack dab in the middle. The next round of products comes from my Sephora VIB sale haul. So we have a lot. We have a lot here. I've got a fragrance. This is the YSL Black Opium Over Red. I also tried a new foundation. This one's from Makeup Forever. It's the HD Skin Hydra Glow Foundation. Alongside that, I tested out a new concealer. This one's from Charlotte Tilbury. It's the Beautiful Skin Radiant Concealer. A little tinted lip treatment. I love a tinted lip treatment. This one comes from Ulla Henriksen. It's the Pout Preserve Peptide Lip Treatment. I take back what I said about least best. Maybe we will have a least best. And I'm looking at you, Westman Atelier highlight stick. This one just didn't really do it for me. Let's just rip the band-aid off on this one. This is probably gonna be my only least best of this month, but maybe not, because I also didn't think there would be one at all. And this one just, it didn't show up for me. It didn't really do much for me at all. It was very expensive. The crazy thing is, the reason I bought this is because I saw a friend wearing it and she looked amazing. Her highlight was highlighting, she was glowing, her skin was incredible and magical. And I said, whatever you have is what I need to have. And I don't know, maybe it's just me, but this didn't really do that much for me. The last thing from that Sephora haul is this Rare Beauty Luminous Blush. Also, didn't really do that much for me, to be honest. I was expecting more because I love a glowy blush. One of my aesthetic goals is to look casually sweaty, and this blush was just, it just wasn't the best glowy blush, and I wanted it to be the best glowy blush. It wasn't terrible. It definitely didn't let me down as much as the Westman Atelier highlight stick, but it was just meh, that's for sure. I think this Makeup Forever HD Hydra Glow foundation is really, really close to being full top tier category, but it's just a little bit lingering across the line as well. I say that because it's not the best foundation that I've tried this year. I've definitely had a lot of good luck with base products so far since I started this ranking system at the beginning of 2024. I've had a lot of great complexion products pass through these tiers, and I don't think this is the best of the best, but I do think it's one of the best products that I tried and that I continue to go back to in the month of May. So it's 3/4 of the way into the top tier. I like it a lot better than the Charlotte Tilbury concealer. It worked for me. I think it looked good on me, but it's just shy of being fantastic because it settles into my fine lines a lot more than other concealers that I've been wearing recently. So I have to make sure I'm really careful with how I set it, and I just need to keep an eye on if I need a little touch up here and there. It does wear really nicely. It's just that little creasing issue that I've been having. It's good. It's just not perfect, fantastic, obsessed, impressed. I feel very much the same way about this lip treatment. I have gone back to it. I have worn it and enjoyed it, but there's just something that's not quite pushing me over the edge. I don't remember it. I don't remember to grab it unless it's out or already in my bag or sitting on my desk. I don't think, oh, I need to use this lip treatment that I love so much, like I do with some of my other favorite lip products. I do think about the Laneige Lip Glowy Balm when I'm not wearing it. And I do think about specifically the Ancient One lip oil from Fantasy Cosmetica. I think about that when I'm not wearing it. And I just don't have that same reaction to this one. Is that overly dramatic? Perhaps. Sometimes you gotta split hairs when it comes to the rankings. And for my last product, absolutely goes in the top tier. I have worn this almost every day since I got it. I love the scent. It smells like black opium mixed with cherry coke. And my spouse loves the scent. Every time I wear it, he compliments me, which is a nice little bonus on top of the fact that I also love the scent. So this was a great purchase, and I'm very happy because it was expensive. However, I did not blind buy this fragrance. I did smell it in store before I purchased it. So I'm not against blind buying, but I knew I was going to like this one when I bought it. Another large round of rankings. This is another ColourPop collection. We're talking about the Pokemon collection, of course. I did do a swatch and review with this, and then I did a Pokemon Get Ready with me, where I had my resident Pokemon expert weigh in with his thoughts on the collection. My sweet 9-year-old generously donated some of his time to give his thoughts, so make sure you check that video out because it's really cute. He and I had a very different ranking, but today you're just getting mine. So this collection, we have a palette, a lip mask, some color changing pH balm things, a lip gloss trio, some cream blushes, and some Super Shock shadows. Now, I think what I'm going to do is rank these within the collection and see how that lines up with our tier system. My top favorite thing from this collection are the Super Shock shadows, followed by the lip mask. Next would be the cream blushes, then the eyeshadow palette, then the lip glosses, and lastly, the color changing pH balms. So I think this is pretty accurate to how I would rank these. I don't want to go too in depth about my reasoning yet again because I've already talked about these products in 2 other videos on my channel this month. So if you're curious to hear more of my thoughts about why I like and dislike these certain items, then make sure you go check out my swatch and review and my get ready with me videos so that you can get some more info about these. Overall, I think the collection is really well done. Just, personal preference plays a large role in how this ranking ultimately goes. So I'm pretty comfortable with this lineup here. Oh man, I'm running out of space. And there's still so many things to talk about. All right. It's going to be fine. I scooched some things over so I could make a little bit more room because we do still have a lot of great stuff to talk about. Next up on the list comes from one of my favorite brands, Fantasy Cosmetica. They released their new Cradled in Ice collection. For the sake of keeping it moving and frankly, we're going to run out of space if I keep doing everything separately. I'm going to go ahead and combine the entire Cradled in Ice collection. I am a huge Fantasy Cosmetica fan. I find what they do to be so interesting, so thoughtful, so high quality, just so obviously well done that even they can make me want to wear blue and pink eyeshadow, and that's really saying a lot. This collection is a firm I am in like with you. Quality wise, it is love, adore, obsessed, impressed. It's simply the color selection that keeps it from being the ultimate top tier for me, just because these aren't my most comfortable colors. They're not the colors that I gravitate towards and identify with style wise. But I think this collection is awesome, and I am always on the edge of my seat for all things Fantasy Cosmetica. So this is a very, very high I am in like with you. Oh man, I'm really running out of room. I try to convince my Pokemon ranking a little bit more. We still have a lot. There's still a lot left. Even more palettes, even more indie palettes that I reviewed in the month of May. These are the Nomad Air palettes. We have 3 different color stories, and I have 3 different feelings about them. The Oslo palette is the one that I have continually reached for. I've used it as a companion palette. I've used it to add a few lighter matte shades to my Amy Loves palette. I've used it to add some neutrals to my Cradled in Ice palette. I've used it paired with this Canadian Rockies palette, and I've worn it on its own. I didn't get these until halfway through the month of May, and I think I've worn this Oslo one pretty much every day since I've had it, either on its own or usually in conjunction with another palette. So it's my favorite. Next, I'll say the Canadian Rockies palette is kind of in like with you territory. And then the Abu Dhabi palette, formula wise, it's great. It's just the color selection that I'm not really vibing with. Oh man, my chart's really filling up. We still have a lot left. So we're going to talk about these Smashbox Halo face palettes, the Flower Beauty Petal Play eyeshadow quads, Flower Beauty little lip treatment lip masks, this Lift and Define 5D lash mascara from Revolution Beauty. Can't forget the new single shadows from Oden's Eye, And thank goodness the last product, the last new product for me this month is this sunscreen. It's the It Cosmetics Hello Sunshine Invisible Hydrating Serum Sunscreen SPF 50. I love this sunscreen. Another thing that I have been wearing every single day. I love the way it wears with makeup. It doesn't mess up foundation and concealer apply just fine on top of it. I do have a video where I showed that process. It's the video that I posted on Monday, May 27th. So go check that out if you want to see this sunscreen in action. It just works really well for me. There's not a whole lot for me to say. It protects my skin, it plays well with makeup, it doesn't smell weird, and it doesn't burn my eyes. That's really all I need out of a sunscreen. These Oden's eye singles are really hard to rank because some of them deserve to be in the top tier and some are more just I am in like with you. A lot of that is just based on personal preference, color preference. Since I need to save myself space and time, I'm going to put these in the I am in like with you category, but I'm going to put them above the Canadian Rockies palette. This mascara did not do much for me. I would say this is very close to least best territory, but it didn't smudge on me and it didn't flake off. So I'll say this is borderline, just meh, and least best. It just didn't really make my lashes look like much of anything. It was just meh. It was not good. Not quite as disappointing as this highlight stick, but it definitely has least best vibes, if you know what I mean. Oh boy, we're so full. All right, this Flower Beauty lip treatment is gonna have to go sideways to fit in anywhere. This is gonna be in the I am in like with you tier. We've really gotten out of control at this point. I realize that and I apologize. I'm gonna have to review less stuff in June so that this doesn't happen again. I think that the Flower Beauty quads, the formula, the texture was really nice, but the finish on the metallics was a little bit underwhelming and the color selection was a little bit boring. So I'm going to put this mercifully in the just meh category. And I think that the Smashbox palettes also belong in just meh. The contour powder, I kept calling it a bronzer. It seems more like a bronzer to me. Whatever. Contour, bronzer powder, and the blushes were very mediocre to me. The highlighter was really nice. That formula on the highlighter is really, really beautiful. I did try 2 of these palettes. I think there are 3 or 4 color options total. So I've tried at least half of what they have out there, and they're pretty meh. They weren't terrible. It's not like they didn't show up at all. They just didn't really feel like anything special to me, and I can definitely think of a handful of drugstore or ColourPop blushes, bronzers, contours that are way less expensive and a better formula for me. That's just one gal's opinion. Oh boy. Okay. That is a lot. A lot of products to rank for this month. We tried a lot of stuff, and look, most of it is floating up towards the top. I feel like that is a great sign. It's nice to have trouble fitting so many things into those top 2 categories because that means that I got my hands on a lot of great new products to review this month. And I hope that this is a problem that I have again. Remember, this is just based on my preference and my experience. So if I don't like something that you love, or if I love something that you don't like, that's okay. We don't have to have the same favorites. I love to hear what you think about things too. So make sure you leave all your thoughts down in the comments below. Go check out the previous videos where you can see these things swatched, reviewed, applied, and hear more of my thoughts about each individual item if you're interested in anything. All those videos will be linked down in the description box. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you real soon, probably in my May favorites video, unless we have a surprise bonus video, but probably the next one you'll see will be my monthly favorites. You're the best. I appreciate you, and I love your face. Bye.